The stars looked different from the observation deck of the Resilience. Captain Olivia Grant stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the darkness of space. Humanity had reached Mars, Europa, and built outposts on several moons, but the vast emptiness beyond their solar system remained mostly unexplored. "Captain?" a voice called from behind her. Lieutenant Commander Eric Taylor approached with a tablet in his hand. "You asked to be notified of any unusual readings." Olivia turned, her expression serious. "What have you found?" "Something just appeared at the edge of our detection range. It's big, moving fast, and it's not one of ours." For a moment, Olivia felt her heart race. After decades of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, something had found them. Instead, "Alert all stations," she said, "but keep weapons powered down. Let's not make assumptions." Within minutes, the Resilience hummed with activity. The crew moved with purpose, their training taking over despite the tension in the air. Olivia took her place in the command chair, watching as the main screen tracked the approaching object. "It's decelerating," Taylor reported. "Whatever it is, it knows we're here." Dr. Samantha Powell, the ship's xenolinguist, joined them on the bridge. Her specialty had been theoretical until now. "I've prepared first contact protocols," she said, her voice steady despite the excitement in her eyes. The object grew larger on their screens. It was massive, at least 5 times the size of the Resilience. Its dark metal hull shimmered with strange lights, and its design followed no human logic. "They're scanning us," Taylor said suddenly. "Powerful beams going right through our shields." Olivia nodded. "Dr. Powell, open all communication channels. Let's welcome our visitors." For several minutes, the Resilience broadcast greetings in various formats, simple mathematical sequences, visual patterns, and messages in all human languages. The alien ship continued its approach in silence. Then, without warning, a voice boomed through the ship's speakers. The language was strange, clicking sounds mixed with deep rumbles, but somehow translated into English. "Primitive vessel, you have been scanned and assessed. This system now falls under the protection and authority of the Galactic Hegemony. Prepare to receive your integration instructions." Olivia exchanged glances with her officers. This wasn't the friendly first contact humanity had hoped for. "This is Captain Olivia Grant of the Terran Alliance vessel Resilience. We welcome peaceful contact with other civilizations, but we do not recognize any external authority over our system." A harsh laugh echoed through the speakers. "Your recognition is not required, Captain. The hegemony has incorporated thousands of species. Some resist at first. None resist for long." The main screen flickered, and a face appeared. The alien had gray-blue skin stretched tight over a broad skull. 6 yellow eyes blinked independently of each other, above a mouth filled with needle-like teeth. "I am High Executor Vrekthar. Your species will provide tribute and acknowledge hegemony rule. Your technology levels are primitive, but your biological potential is acceptable." Taylor leaned close to Olivia's ear. "Captain, they're continuing to scan us. Not just the ship. They're scanning Earth's defenses." Olivia kept her expression neutral. "High Executor, we are interested in learning more about the hegemony, but we must insist on diplomatic discussions before any talk of tribute or rule." Vrekthar's mouth stretched in what might have been a smile. "There is no diplomacy. There is only integration or resistance. Resistance results in demonstration of consequences." While the alien spoke, Dr. Powell was working furiously at a console, decoding more of the alien transmissions that surrounded the translated message. "Captain," she whispered, "I'm picking up other communications. They're referring to humans as resource stock and labor units. There are calculations about population centers and harvest quotas." Olivia felt a chill run down her spine. She had hoped for peaceful first contact, but prepared for something very different. All Terran vessels had contingency plans for hostile encounters, developed after decades of debate about the potential dangers of alien civilizations. "High Executor," she said firmly, "the people of Earth wish to establish peaceful relations with the hegemony, but we will not be subjugated. Perhaps you should review your scans more carefully before making demands." Rekthar's eyes narrowed. Your primitive weapons are noted and dismissed, Captain. Your species has barely mastered faster-than-light travel. The hegemony was traveling between stars when your ancestors still lived in caves. Commander Taylor, Olivia said quietly. Alert. Earth Defense Command. Authorization code Prometheus. Taylor nodded and sent the coded message. The word Prometheus activated Earth's hidden defense systems, technology that had been kept off regular scans and records. High Executor, Olivia continued, I urge you to reconsider your approach. The people of Earth respectfully decline your offer of incorporation. We wish to engage in peaceful relations, but we will defend ourselves with all available means if threatened. This is our only warning. All 6 of Rekthar's eyes blinked at once. Warning? You dare to warn the hegemony? He turned and barked orders in his native language to someone off-screen. Dr. Powell's face paled as she translated. Captain, they're targeting the research station in low Earth orbit. Small, kinetic projectile. They're calling it a demonstration of compliance necessity. Olivia stood up. Red alert. All crew to battle stations. She faced the screen again. High Executor, firing upon Earth or any of its installations will be considered an act of war. Rekthar's response was cold. It is merely education, Captain. The first lesson for new species is always the hardest. The alien ship launched a single projectile toward Earth. It moved incredibly fast, aimed at the small research station where 300 scientists and support staff lived and worked. They expect us to watch it hit, Taylor said. They want us to see what happens when we defy them. Olivia's voice was calm as she gave her next order. Activate Defense Grid Section 5. Target and neutralize. Around Earth, hidden defense platforms awakened. Technology that combined human innovation with reverse-engineered systems from a crashed alien scout ship, found in 2089. This discovery had been kept secret from the public, used to prepare for exactly this scenario. A beam of concentrated energy struck the hegemony projectile, vaporizing it instantly. On the screen, Rekthar's expression changed from confidence to confusion. Perhaps, Olivia said, you should scan us again, High Executor. Earth sent just one warning. We won't send another. Rekthar's face twisted with rage. Impossible. Your defensive capabilities were assessed as minimal. You assessed wrong, Olivia replied. The question now is whether the hegemony wants peace or conflict. We're prepared for either. The bridge fell silent as everyone waited for the alien's response. This changes nothing, Rekthar said finally. You have merely upgraded from simple integration to military pacification. His image disappeared from the screen. They're launching ships, Taylor reported. Smaller vessels heading for the lunar colony. Olivia's eyes hardened. So be it. Alert lunar defense. Prepare the resilience for combat maneuvers. She turned to her crew. The hegemony thought they found an easy target. They're about to learn how wrong they were. The alarm echoed through the corridors of Armstrong City on the lunar surface. Red emergency lights flashed as people hurried toward the evacuation shelters. Security Chief Alan Rodriguez stood at the main control center watching the monitors as hegemony dropships entered lunar orbit. How many civilians still in the open sectors? He asked, his voice tense but controlled. Less than 50, his deputy replied. The mining crews from the far side are still en route. Alan nodded. Keep the transit tunnels open as long as possible. No one gets left behind. The lunar colony had been prepared for emergencies, but not for alien invasion. Still, the people moved with remarkable order. Years of living in the harsh environment of space had taught them that panic meant death. Chief Rodriguez, we've got incoming transmissions from Earth Defense Command, a young communications officer called out. The message was brief. Help was on the way, but Armstrong City needed to hold out for at least 4 hours. Alan closed his eyes for a moment. 4 hours against an enemy they knew almost nothing about. Send all security personnel to defensive positions, he ordered, and get me the status on those experimental suits. On the other side of the colony, Major Catherine Davis watched as her Marines suited up in the powered armor units. These suits had been in testing for months, designed to enhance human strength and endurance for construction in the harsh lunar environment. Today they would be used for something very different. "Listen up," she called to her squad. "We've got alien hostiles inbound. We don't know their capabilities, but we know they're not here for a friendly chat." The Marines looked at her with determined faces. Some showed fear, but all showed resolve. "Our job is to defend the civilian evacuation routes. We use the tunnels and the low gravity to our advantage. Remember your training and watch each other's backs." As they finished suiting up, the ground shook. The first hegemony ships had landed. Back on Earth, an emergency meeting was underway. President Jordan Collins sat at the head of a long table, surrounded by military and scientific advisors. The room was deep underground, in a bunker designed to withstand almost any attack. "How the hell did they find us?" someone asked. "We've been careful about our signals." Admiral William Barnes, head of the Terran Defense Force, cleared his throat. "They're likely an expansion-focused empire. They probably have automated scout ships searching for habitable worlds." President Collins leaned forward. "I don't care how they found us. I care about how we're going to defend ourselves." "Admiral, what's the status of Project Thunderbolt?" "Operational, Madam President. We've been preparing for this scenario for decades." A slim man with glasses spoke up. This was Dr. Nathan Kelly, the lead scientist behind Earth's classified defense technologies. "The hegemony clearly expected us to be defenseless," he said. "Their scans would have detected our public-facing military capabilities, but not what we've kept hidden." The president nodded. "Can we protect the lunar colony?" "We have a squadron ready to launch," Admiral Barnes replied. "Major Davis and her Marines are already engaging the enemy on the surface." On the moon, the battle had begun. The hegemony soldiers were tall, strong creatures in sleek armor. They moved with confidence as they secured their landing zone, clearly expecting minimal resistance. They were wrong. Major Davis led her squad through service tunnels that connected the main lunar habitats. The powered armor made them nearly as strong as the alien soldiers and far more familiar with the terrain. "Team 1, flank right," she ordered over the comm. "Draw them toward the processing plant. Team 2, with me." The Marines moved silently, using the moon's low gravity to make impossibly long jumps between positions. The first group of hegemony soldiers never saw them coming. Davis fired her weapon, a railgun designed for the vacuum of space. It made almost no sound as it launched. Metal projectiles at tremendous speed. The aliens' armor cracked under the impact, and 3 fell before the others realized they were under attack. The hegemony soldiers returned fire with energy weapons that scorched the lunar soil. One Marine cried out as a blast caught him in the leg, melting through the armor. "Medic!" Davis called, then signaled the rest of her squad to fall back. "Draw them into the tunnel. Use the choke points." The aliens followed, apparently eager to pursue what they saw as retreating prey. They didn't realize they were being led into a trap. In orbit above the moon, Captain Grant's Resilience was executing a daring maneuver. Using Earth's gravitational field, they slingshot around the planet at tremendous speed, emerging behind the main hegemony vessel. "Target their propulsion systems," Olivia ordered. "Limited yield only. We want to disable, not destroy." The Resilience fired its main weapons, technology that had been kept off all official records. The beam struck the hegemony ship with precision. On the bridge of his vessel, High Executor Rekthar roared in rage as systems began to fail around him. "Impossible," he shouted. "How are they doing this? Where are these weapons coming from?" His second-in-command approached cautiously. "High Executor, the humans have technology we did not detect in our initial scans. Our landing forces on their moon report unexpected resistance as well." Rekthar's 6 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "Send the full invasion force. Crush their lunar colony. Show them the price of defiance." But as he gave the order, 5 more human ships appeared from behind Jupiter's moon. They had been hiding, waiting for this moment. "High Executor," a communications officer called out. "The human ships are surrounding us, and something is happening to our systems." Lieutenant Lisa Martinez of the stealth vessel Shadow had completed her mission. Hidden in the confusion of battle, her ship had approached close enough to the hegemony vessel to deploy a special package. a virus created by Ryan Cooper, Earth's most brilliant programmer. The virus spread through the alien ship's systems, unlocking data and transmitting it back to Earth. Battle plans, ship schematics, and communications, all flowing into human hands. Back at Armstrong City, Alan Rodriguez was leading a group of civilians to the emergency shelters when the building shook. Hegemony forces had breached the outer perimeter. Everyone into the mining tunnels, he ordered. Section by section, move. The civilians followed his commands, parents carrying children, workers helping the elderly. Alan saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. Outside, Major Davis and her Marines continued to fight. The powered armor gave them strength, but the hegemony soldiers seemed endless. For every alien they took down, 2 more appeared. "Hold the line," Davis shouted as she fired her railgun. "Help is coming." And it was. In Earth orbit, Dr. Kelly activated the network of platforms disguised as communications satellites. These held Earth's true defensive capabilities, weapons that could change the tide of the battle. As the hegemony prepared to send reinforcements to crush the human resistance, they found that their communications were blocked, their systems compromised, and their invasion force surrounded. The first real battle between humanity and the galactic hegemony was only beginning, and the Empire was about to learn that they had made a terrible mistake. High Executor Vrekthar slammed his fist on the control panel. Warning lights flashed across the bridge of his ship. Something was wrong with their systems. Very wrong. "What is happening?" he demanded. His technology officer worked frantically at his station. "Unknown infiltration in our communication systems. We are transmitting data." "To whom?" Vrekthar roared. "To the humans," the officer said, his voice barely a whisper. Outside the massive hegemony vessel, Lieutenant Lisa Martinez guided her small stealth ship Shadow away from the enemy hull. Her mission was complete. Ryan Cooper's virus was now deep, inside the alien system, sending everything back to Earth. "Package delivered," she reported. "Returning to formation." The Shadow was nearly invisible to sensors, using technology developed from the crashed alien ship found decades ago. The hegemony never detected her approach, and now they were paying the price for their overconfidence. On Earth, Ryan Cooper watched as alien data flooded his screens. The young programmer had spent years preparing for this moment, creating software that could interface with unknown technology. Now he was seeing the inner workings of the hegemony fleet. "I've got their battle plans," he told Admiral Barnes. They were planning to establish a foothold on the moon, then launch a full-scale invasion of Earth within 24 hours. "Admiral," Barnes studied the incoming data. "And what about their reinforcements?" Ryan pointed to a section of the screen. "They've called for backup. A second fleet, much larger than this one. Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. President Collins looked grim. "Can we hold against another fleet?" Dr. Kelly stepped forward. "Madam President, I believe it's time to activate the quantum displacement array." The room fell silent. The QDA was Earth's most secret weapon, built beneath the Pacific Ocean. Few people knew of its existence, and even fewer understood how it worked. "The risks," someone began, "are necessary," Dr. Kelly finished. "The array can create a temporary disruption in spacetime. It will prevent any hegemony ships from using faster-than-light travel to reach our system for at least 72 hours. President Collins nodded slowly. "Do it." On the lunar surface, the battle continued. Major Davis and her Marines fought with everything they had. The powered armor gave them strength and protection, but they were still outnumbered. "Fall back to position 3, Davis ordered as enemy fire intensified. 2 of her Marines were down, their armor breached by the aliens' weapons. In the command center, Security Chief Rodriguez monitored the evacuation. Most civilians were now in the deep shelters, but the hegemony forces were pushing closer. "We need more time," he muttered. Then an idea struck him. He turned to a group of mining engineers who had taken shelter in the command center. "The excavation equipment," he said. "Can we use it?" One of the engineers, a woman named Diane, nodded slowly. "The drilling machines have powerful motors. With some modifications. Do it, Alan said. Turn anything you can into a weapon. Back. In space, Captain Grant's resilience led the attack on the hegemony vessel. 5 other Terran ships had joined the battle, firing precise shots at the alien craft. Target their weapon arrays, Olivia ordered. Don't let them fire on the lunar colony. The resilience shook as it took a hit from the hegemony ship. Shields at 60%, Taylor reported. Olivia gripped her command chair. Maintain position. Continue firing. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Kelly's team prepared to activate the quantum displacement array. The massive facility hummed with power as technicians worked at their stations. Power levels at 90%, a technician reported. Dr. Kelly checked the final calculations. The QDA worked by creating a field that temporarily altered the rules of physics in a specific region of space. Faster-than-light travel would be impossible within that field. Activate in 3, 2, 1. The facility shuddered as the array powered up. Lights dimmed across the western United States as the QDA drew massive amounts of energy. Then, with a flash that no human eye could see, the field expanded outward, encompassing the entire solar system. On the hegemony vessel, Rekthar received the worst possible news. High Executor, we have lost contact with the reinforcement fleet. What? Do you mean lost contact? Rekthar demanded. They were approaching through faster-than-light travel, but something interrupted their transit. They cannot reach us. For the first time since the battle began, Rekthar felt fear. The humans were not behaving like any species the hegemony had ever encountered. They had technology that should have been, beyond them, defenses that weren't detected, and now they had somehow blocked reinforcements. On the lunar surface, the tide of battle began to shift. The mining engineers, led by Diane, had converted drilling equipment into makeshift weapons. They mounted the powerful motors onto mobile platforms, using them to fire chunks of lunar rock at high velocity. Major Davis saw the opportunity and ordered her Marines to pull back, drawing the hegemony soldiers into the path of these improvised cannons. Now, she shouted into her comm. The machines roared to life, hurling dense moon rocks at the advancing aliens. The projectiles weren't elegant, but in the low lunar gravity, they struck with devastating force. Hegemony soldiers fell as the barrage hit them. In the command center, Rodriguez watched on the monitors. It's working, he said with disbelief. It's actually working. In Earth orbit, Dr. Kelly activated the next phase of Earth's defense. The satellites that had appeared to be simple communication relays revealed their true purpose. Panels opened, exposing gravitational distortion weapons, technology reverse-engineered from the crashed alien ship. Target the hegemony vessels. Propulsion systems, he ordered. Minimal power. We want to disable, not destroy. The weapons fired silent beams that bent space itself. Where they struck the hegemony ship, metal warped and twisted, rendered useless by forces it was never designed to withstand. On the bridge of his crippled vessel, Rekthar watched in horror as system after system failed. His mighty ship, pride of the hegemony fleet, was being taken apart piece by weapons he couldn't understand. How? He asked no one in particular. How can they do this? Lieutenant Commander Taylor, aboard the damaged Resilience, made a discovery that would change everything. As he sorted through the data stolen by Cooper's virus, he found historical records of other civilizations that had encountered the hegemony. Captain, he called to Olivia, you need to see this. The record showed dozens of species that had been conquered, enslaved, or simply wiped out when they refused to submit. The hegemony's expansion had been built on the suffering of countless beings. Olivia's expression hardened as she viewed the records. Send this to Earth, she ordered. Everyone needs to see what we're really fighting against. The battle for the Sol system had reached its turning point. Earth had sent just one warning, and now the hegemony was learning exactly what that warning meant. President Collins stared at the images on the screen. Lieutenant Commander Taylor's discovery had been transmitted to Earth, records of other species conquered by the hegemony. Some had been enslaved, others had been wiped out completely. These Records change everything, Admiral Barnes said quietly. The president nodded. The hegemony isn't just threatening us. They're a threat to all free species in the galaxy. Dr. Kelly had joined them in the underground command center. He looked troubled. Madam President, we need to discuss our next move. The gravitational weapons can cripple their ship, but at full power, they could destroy it completely. The president finished his thought. Dr. Kelly nodded. Is that who we want to be? If we destroy them completely, are we any better than they are? Admiral, Barnes frowned. These records show what happens when the hegemony isn't stopped. We need to send a message they won't forget. President Collins closed her eyes for a moment. The decision weighed heavily on her. What would happen to the crew if we destroyed their ship? They would die, Dr. Kelly said simply. All of them. In the lunar colony, the battle had turned in humanity's favor. Major Davis led her Marines in pushing the hegemony forces back toward their landing ships. The improvised weapons, created by the mining engineers, had broken the aliens' advance. They're retreating, one of the Marines shouted over the comm. Davis watched through her helmet visor as hegemony soldiers fell back in disorder. Don't celebrate yet, she warned. Push them all the way back to their ships. In the command center, Security Chief Rodriguez coordinated with the civilian volunteers. The mining equipment, now converted to weapons, had proven surprisingly effective. Diane, he called to the lead engineer. Can you get those machines to the north sector? We've got aliens trying to circle around. The woman nodded, her face streaked with dust and sweat. On it. We'll cut them off. Rodriguez watched her go, amazed at how quickly civilians had turned into fighters. Just hours ago, these people had been running for shelter. Now they were actively defending their home. In orbit, Captain Grant's Resilience continued its attack on the hegemony vessel. The ship had taken damage, its hull scarred by alien weapons, but it remained operational. Status report, Olivia demanded as the bridge shook from another impact. Shields at 30%, Taylor reported. Weapons still operational. The hegemony ship is in worse shape. Their main weapons are offline. Olivia nodded. Keep firing. On their secondary systems. Don't let them restore weapons capability. Her communications officer turned from her station. Captain, incoming message from Earth. President Collins wants to speak with you. The president's face appeared on the main screen. She looked tired but determined. Captain Grant, we've reviewed the information your officer discovered. The decision has been made to use the gravitational weapons, but in a limited capacity. Limited, ma'am? Olivia asked. We will target their propulsion and weapons only. Leave their life support and command center intact. The president's expression was firm. We want them alive to carry our message back to the hegemony. Olivia nodded. Understood, Madam President. As the gravitational weapons prepared to fire, High Executor Vrekthar faced a crisis on his ship. Systems were failing, the lunar invasion force was requesting emergency extraction, and the virus continued to spread through their computers. Send all remaining shuttles to retrieve our forces from the moon, he ordered. Prepare for emergency faster-than-light jump once they return. His second-in-command looked uncertain. High Executor, something is preventing faster-than-light travel. We cannot escape this system. Vrekthar's 6 eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of extreme stress in his species. How can they do this? They are supposed to be primitive. On the lunar surface, hegemony soldiers rushed back to their landing craft. They had expected an easy conquest, but instead found themselves outmatched by humans in powered armor and miners with improvised weapons. Major Davis watched them flee. Should we pursue? One of her Marines asked. She shook her head. No. Let them run. Our job was to protect the colony, and we've done that. Some of her squad looked disappointed, but Davis knew better than to risk more lives unnecessarily. They had already lost 5 Marines in the battle. Form a perimeter, she ordered. Make sure they're really leaving. In the Pacific Ocean facility, Dr. Kelly gave the order to fire the gravitational weapons. The satellites in orbit activated, directing precisely controlled beams at the hegemony vessel. Where the beams struck, metal twisted and warped. The ship's massive engines crumpled like paper. Weapon arrays collapsed in on themselves. But the living quarters and command center remained untouched, exactly as President Collins had ordered. On the bridge of his crippled ship, Rekthar watched in horror as his vessel was systematically disabled. The humans could have destroyed them completely but chose not to. Why? He asked aloud. Why don't they finish us? His question was answered when Captain Grant's face appeared on his communication screen. High Executor, she said, her voice calm but firm. Your ship has been disabled. Your forces on our moon are in retreat. You have lost this battle. Vrekthar's pride wanted him to deny it, but the evidence was all around him. What do you want? Human? You will be allowed to make repairs sufficient for a slow return to hegemony space, Olivia said. But first, you will transmit a message to your leaders. What message? Rekthar asked, already knowing he had no choice but to agree. On Earth, President Collins drafted the message herself. It was simple but powerful. Earth is not to be approached without explicit invitation. Any further military action against human settlements will be met with overwhelming force. Peaceful diplomatic relations remain possible, but only on equal terms. The message would be accompanied by full records of the battle, showing how thoroughly the hegemony forces had been defeated by the supposedly primitive humans. As the Resilience maintained position near the disabled hegemony vessel, Olivia received word from the lunar colony. Captain, Security Chief Rodriguez reported, the last of the alien forces have left the surface. We've suffered damage to the outer habitats, but no civilian casualties. Olivia closed her eyes in relief. Excellent work, Chief. How are Major Davis and her Marines? 5 dead, 12 wounded, Rodriguez replied, his voice heavy. But they saved the colony. Everyone here knows that. The battle was over. Earth had defended itself against what had seemed like an unstoppable empire. But Olivia knew this was just the beginning. The hegemony now knew of Earth's existence and its unexpected strength. What would happen next would depend on whether the Empire could learn from its mistake, or if it would return with an even larger force, determined to crush the humans who had dared to resist. High Executor Vrekhtar stood rigidly before the communication array. The message to the hegemony leadership had been prepared. Now he had to deliver it, the most humiliating moment of his long career. Behind him, human engineers worked on his ship systems. They had allowed limited repairs, enough for the vessel to limp home at sublight speed. The journey would take months instead of hours. Captain Grant watched from nearby. Is the transmission ready, High Executor? Brekthar's six eyes narrowed. Yes, human. I will do as agreed. He began the transmission, speaking in the formal language of the hegemony. His words would reach the hegemony Central Command in a matter of hours, carried by faster-than-light communication systems that still functioned. To the Supreme Council of the Galactic Hegemony, he began. I, High Executor Vrekhtar, report the failure of the integration mission to the system designated Sol 3. He paused, the words bitter in his mouth. The species known as humans possess technology and defensive capabilities far beyond our initial assessment. My vessel has been disabled, our forces defeated. Vrekhtar then delivered the humans' message, word for word, as they had written it. As he spoke, the battle records transmitted alongside his words, undeniable evidence of what had happened. When he finished, he turned to Captain Grant. It is done. Are you satisfied? Olivia nodded. Yes, you may begin your repairs. We will provide the materials you need, as agreed. Vrekhtar studied her face. In thousands of years of hegemony expansion, no species has ever repelled a first-contact invasion force. How did you do this? Olivia considered her answer carefully. We prepared. We hoped for peace but planned for war. Back on Earth, President Collins met with her advisors to discuss the next steps. The immediate threat had passed, but everyone knew the hegemony might return. The quantum displacement array bought us time, Dr. Kelly explained. When it powers down in 72 hours, faster-than-light travel to our system will be possible again. Admiral Barnes leaned forward. We Should use this time to strengthen our defenses. If the hegemony returns with a larger force, they might, President Collins agreed. But they might also reconsider their approach. We've shown them that we're not easy prey. Dr. Kelly nodded. There's another possibility. The records we captured mention other species that resisted the hegemony. They were eventually defeated because they stood alone. President Collins understood immediately. But if these species had worked together— Exactly, Dr. Kelly said. We need allies. On the lunar colony, the cleanup had begun. Buildings were damaged, systems needed repair, but spirits were surprisingly high. Security Chief Rodriguez walked through Armstrong City, checking on the residents. Chief, Diane called out. She was directing a team that was converting the improvised weapons back into mining equipment. We're getting the primary systems back online. Should be ready to resume operations in a few days. Rodriguez smiled. Good work. How are your people? Holding up? Honestly? They're proud, she said. Nobody came to space expecting to fight aliens, but they stood their ground. They protected their home. Nearby, Major Davis supervised as her Marines helped with the repairs. The wounded had been evacuated to Earth for treatment, and memorial services for the fallen were being planned. A young Marine approached her. Major, do you think they'll come back? The aliens? Davis considered the question. I don't know, but if they do, we'll be ready. In orbit, the Resilience prepared to return to Earth. Lieutenant Commander Taylor was still analyzing the data they had captured from the hegemony vessel. Captain, he said, I found something interesting. The hegemony isn't the only major power in the galaxy. There are others, alliances, federations, independent worlds. The hegemony is just the most aggressive. Olivia looked at the star charts he had discovered. So there could be potential allies out there. Yes, but we'd need to reach them. The hegemony controls the space around our system. Getting past them won't be easy. Olivia thought for a moment. We need a ship that can travel undetected, like Lieutenant Martinez's Shadow, but bigger, with longer range. Back in the Pacific facility, Dr. Kelly was already working on that problem. The technology from the crashed alien ship had given humanity a head start, but they had improved on it in ways the original designers never imagined. The Harbinger project, he explained to President Collins. A long-range exploration vessel with stealth capabilities. We could have it ready in 6 months. President Collins nodded. And who would command this mission? I recommend Lieutenant Lisa Martinez, Admiral Barnes said. Her experience with the Shadow makes her the ideal candidate. In the White House Situation Room, the President made her decision. Approve the Harbinger project. We need to find allies before the hegemony returns. 3 days later, as the disabled hegemony ship slowly moved away from Earth, High Executive Rekthar received a response from his leaders. The Supreme Council was furious, demanding explanations and threatening punishment. But underneath their anger, Rekthar sensed something new in their words: caution. For the first time in generations, the hegemony had encountered a species that could challenge them. As his ship limped away from the Sol system, Rekthar looked back at the blue planet. The humans had let him live, let his crew survive, when they could have destroyed them all. Was it mercy or strategy? Either way, the hegemony would remember Earth's warning. Whether they would heed it remained to be seen. On the observation deck of the Resilience, now docked at Earth's orbital station, Captain Grant looked out at the stars. The battle was over, but a new chapter in human history was just beginning. Lieutenant Martinez joined her. Captain, I've been asked to lead the Harbinger mission. Olivia smiled. Congratulations, Lieutenant. Finding allies out there won't be easy. No, but it's necessary, Lisa replied. Earth stood alone this time and survived. But the hegemony will be back, and they won't underestimate us again. As they watched the stars together, Olivia thought about the message they had sent. One warning, that was all humanity had given. But it was enough to shake an empire that had existed for thousands of years. Earth had defended itself this time. Next time, they would not be fighting alone. The stars held both dangers and potential friends, and humanity was ready to meet them all.